Right guys, welcome back to the channel, and I hope you like this new setup other than it being a little bit wobbly, but I am super stoked. Engine War is out. This, in my opinion, is one of the better Psychic Awakening books. It is jam-packed with content and rules, and the Admech models are fantastic. I love nearly all the new models. Nearly. This video is going to be covering the Admech. Make sure that you check out the other videos that I'll be doing to cover the other factions in this book. If you don't know what's in it, we've got Admech, we've got Imperial Knights, we've got Chaos Knights, and we've got Demons. All jam-packed with new stratagems, new traits, all sorts. So, without further ado, let's go and have a look. So, for the Admech side of things, we got a whole host of new models. So there's the Archaeopter, which comes in 3 different forms. There's the Sulphurhounds, which are in 2 different forms, and the Birdmen, which are in 2 different forms. And the Manipulus is available separately by himself for the first time. So, unsurprisingly, I picked up a Manipulus, a box of Hounds, a box of Birdmen, and 2 of the Flyers. So, what have we got? Well, if we have a look at the Tech Priest Manipulus, I've never really looked at his rules before, and he's kind of a halfway house, I think, between an Engine Seer and a Dominus. So, he's okay. He's toughness 4 with 4 wounds and a 2-up save. He's got one of 2 different weapons. He either has a Flamer, which is 2 damage, strength 4 -1, or he's got a Magna Rail Lance, strength 7 -3 D3 damage. But if the bearer remains stationary in its previous movement phase, he has a damage of 3. He's got 5 invulnerable. He's got Master of the Machine, so he can repair stuff, and he's got a Galvanic Field. At the start of your movement phase, select one of the abilities below. This model gains that ability until the start of your next movement phase. So, bolster weapons. Add 1 to the move characteristic of Forge World units whilst they are within 6 inches, and add 1 to advance rolls and charge rolls made for Forge World models whilst they're within 6. And sorry, it's bolster warriors. That's okay. It's cool if you're in a combat heavy army, or indeed want to just get like up there straight away. Bolster weapons. This model cannot move for any reason. Add 6 inches to the maximum range of weapons with an unmodified range characteristic of 24 or more whilst they're within 6, and add 2 inches to the maximum range of any other weapons whilst they're within 6. It seems odd that they increase the range of longer range weapons. I don't know, but he's pretty cool. And of course, if you're staying stationary with that anyway, the Magna Rail Lance becomes damage 3. It's pretty cool. I wouldn't say he's a must-take, but he's not bad. Next, we've got the Serberys Sulphurhounds, and we've got the Serberys Raiders as well. Now, I looked at both of these, and I think there is merits for using or taking both. Let me know what you guys think, though. So the Serberys Sulphurhounds, they're only toughness 3. I thought they would have been toughness 4. Because, you know, what you tend to find is that, like, Eldar and Space Marines on bikes tend to gain a toughness. So, I know they're not quite bikes, but let's face it, they might as well be. So 3 wounds apiece with a 4-up save, and a 6-up invulnerable save. So, it says that the Sulphurhound Alpha is equipped with a Phosphor Blast Pistol. Yeah, so, do they take 2? Yeah, so every Sulphurhound is equipped with 2 Phosphor Pistols and the Sulphur Breath, and 1 in 3 can take the Carbine. So, the Phosphor Blast Pistol, range 12, pistol 1, strength 5, -1, 1 damage. And the target does not receive the benefit of cover. That's okay, but if you consider that, you know, you're going to have 6 shots of that, that's decent. And then all of them have got the Sulphur Breath, which is pistol D6, range 8, auto hits, and the target does not receive the benefit of cover. It's a -1 flamer. It's pretty cool. You can take the Phosphor Blast Carbine, which is Assault 4, range 24. However, when you read the following rule, I don't think I would ever take it. So Pistoliers, you can choose to fire pistol weapons in this unit, even if this unit advanced this turn. Doesn't say you suffer the penalty, right? So obviously if you advance, you're suffering the penalty for the assault weapon, but then you can't use the sulphur breath because it is a pistol weapon. You either fire a pistol or all other weapons. So I can't see an instance where you would ever use the blast carbine. So I would just go pistols on everything. Bearing in mind that they move 12, and then you can advance, and then you've got auto-hitting flamers. That's pretty decent. And of course, because they are essentially Vanguard on top of the Hounds, you've got the rad saturation rule, which is enemy units that aren't vehicles are -1 toughness. They're not bad. I don't know how many points they are, actually. That's something I didn't look at. Serberys Sulphurhounds, 16 points. Phosphor Blast Pistol, 5 points each. Oosh. So that'll be 10 points plus the 16, the 26 points each. Sulphur Breath, free, and the Clawed Limbs should be free, yeah. Yeah, they're okay. So Clawed Limbs, you get to make 2 attacks with them, so there'll be Strength 4, whereas the other guys get to make 1 attack at Strength 3. So they're okay in combat. They're not designed to be combat, but if they if they're hit by something light, they can at least defend themselves. And of course, if they do get stuck in combat, you've got pistols. Yeah, 26 points each. I think they're okay. However, when you then go to look at Serberys Raiders, same stat line, but they've got an Archaeopter Revolver on the Alpha, and Galvanic Carbine, Cavalry Saber, Clawed Limbs. So yeah, I think these are cool. So the Archaeopter Revolver is Pistol 1, Strength 5, -2, 2 damage. That's pretty good. However, the Galvanic Carbine, range 18, assault 2. So it's basically a carbine version of the Galvanic Rifle. So you do get the -1 AP on the roll of a 6 to wound. The Sabres +1 strength, -1 damage, and the Clawed Limbs are the same as the Sulphurhounds. Skirmish and line, they get to move before the game begins, after you've deployed, but the Eye of Serberys, ranged weapons models in this unit are equipped with can target a character even if it's not the closest. When resolving an attack made with a ranged weapon by a model in this unit, a wound roll of a 6+ inflicts 1 mortal wound in addition. So the 6s not only do mortal wounds, they're also -1 AP. That's 6 shots out of them guys straight into a character. That's pretty cool. And of course, they can move 12 inches. They've got range 18. Like, that's decent. And this is the problem that I've got, is I don't know which ones to build out of the first kit. I'll possibly end up getting more, but like, that's fantastic. I think that's really good. So there are Serberys Raiders are 14 points a model. They've got a Galvanic Carbine, which is free. Wow. 14 points a model. The Archaeopter Revolver is only 2 points. Wow. Can they be taken in squads of 6? They can be taken in squads of 9. That's pretty cheap. That's quite impressive. Obviously, the only issue that you've got with that is it's only strength 4. But yeah, I think that's really cool. My favourite model, these guys, the wingspan is massive on these. Such cool models. They're basically infiltrators and rust stalkers with wings, which is awesomely cool. So these are the Pteraxii Sterylizors. Movement 12, strength 4, toughness 3, 2 wounds. That's okay. 2 attacks apiece. is fair. The alpha comes with a taser gourd, which you know what it does, and a flechette blaster, which again you know what it does. He's basically a rust stalker, but the other 4 members of the squad can take phosphor torches. Range 12, assault d6, strength 4, -1, 1 damage. It auto hits and the target does not receive the benefit of cover. So, soar away at the beginning of your movement phase. This unit can boost into the skies, remove it from the battlefield, but it can't use the Thermal Raiders ability in the same turn, essentially. And if the battle ends whilst the unit is in the skies, it's considered to be destroyed. Standard rules. Thermal Raiders. During deployment, you can set this unit up in the sky, basically deep strike it more than 9 inches away from an enemy model. Swooping strikes. If this unit makes a charge move, add 1 to the attack characteristics. And that's because of the talons that they've got. So the talons are strength users, so the strength 4, -1, 1 damage. This weapon has a strength characteristic of +1 if the bearer made a charge move. So it becomes strength 5, -1, 1 damage. That's 3 attacks apiece. I wouldn't use them aggressively, but if you know you're pretty desperate to take a unit and you don't take an objective and you don't quite kill the guys that's on it with the flamers, then here you go. So I love them. I think they are definitely the ones I'm going to be taking. You've then got the Pteraxii Skystalkers, which have got the same stat line. They've got a flechette carbine, and of course the leader has a blaster and taser gourd. They've got the same soar away rules. They've both got bionics. They've got thermal rider ability. They've got an arc grenade cluster. At the start of the shooting phase, you can select 1 enemy unit that this unit moved across and roll 1d6 for each model in the unit, adding 2 if the result adding 2 to each result if that unit is a vehicle. For each 5+, the enemy unit suffers 1 mortal wound. That's pretty cool. But it's per model in the Skystalker squad. It's not bad. It's not bad. The flechette carbine, of course, is range 24, assault 5, and it's strength 3. So it's the same as what you're used to on the infiltrators. It's just that they've got more range, and of course you've got them much more maneuverability for the fact that they've actually got wings. So for me personally, I would probably run the Sterylizors, because I just think the flamers are going to be much more useful. We've got the Serberys Dune Rider and Disintegrator. I'm not going to go over these rules because this model's been out for quite some time now. But you know, the Serberys Disintegrator, it's a fantastic model. It's very versatile in its heavy weapons as well. So yeah. Next up though, we've got the 3 Archaeopters. Now, not much changes between the 3 stat lines if you ask me, so I'll kind of go through what it is. So it's movement 20 to 50 whilst it's on full bracket, and weapon skill 5+, ballistic skill starts at 3, drops to 5, strength 6, toughness 7, 10 wounds, 3 attacks, leadership 9, and a save of 3+. The model can either take a chaff launcher or a command uplink. The command uplink lets models within 6 use his leadership, or the chaff launcher reduces the damage characteristic of a weapon by 1 when it's attacked with a ranged weapon. Why would you not take that one? I don't know. All 3 of them have got maneuverable aircraft. When this model moves in your movement phase, first pivot it on the spot up to 90 degrees, then move the model straight. It can pivot up to 90 degrees more again at any point. Oh, at any point during its move. Oh, hello. When this model advances, add 20 to the move characteristic. Wow. So instead of Eldar ones where you can just move, turn to then go that way next turn, you could actually just go 10 inches here, turn, and then go. But if you're facing that way, you could turn 90, move, turn 90, move. Wow, that's actually quite good. It's got the airborne rules, it's got explodes, it's got hover jet, so it can hover, and hard to hit as well. Oh, and in hover mode it moves 20. That's really good. So, they've all got Cognos heavy stubbers in some variety, which means that you can advance and still shoot the Cognos heavy stubbers, but they're at -2 to hit. It doesn't have power of the machine spirit, so it would suffer the penalty to firing heavy weapons on the move, which is a shame. It is a shame. But there's a small way around that, which we'll get to later. So the Transvector is the one which can transport infantry. It can transport 6 Secutari, Electro Priests, Tech Priests, or Skitari infantry models. It cannot transport Call. 6 isn't that great. I was hoping for a bit more. But this one's got 2 heavy stubbers and a twin Cognos heavy stubber. It's okay. It's a transport. We've then got the Stratoraptor, which is essentially the gunship version of it. It also has, in addition to the 2 Cognos heavy stubbers, 2 heavy phosphor blasters, 2 Cognos las cannons as well. So yeah, I don't need to go over the phosphor blasters or the las cannons. You guys know what they do. They're all Cognos, or rather the las cannon is Cognos, so you can shoot when you advance. And then you've got the Fusilier, which is basically the bomber. It's got 4 heavy stubbers, and at the end of your movement phase, the model can drop heavy bombs on one enemy unit it moved across to a maximum of 10d6. Roll 3 dice for each vehicle or monster, and for a 4+, the enemy unit suffers a mortal wound. It's okay. It's okay. I'm probably going to go gunship most of the time. But let's have a look at the points. So the Fusilier, which is this one with the bomber, is 102 points. How much is a Cognos heavy stubber? 2 points. So that's 110 points. And then you've got the Chaff Launcher, which is... Whoa, the Chaff Launcher is 20 points. Yeah, maybe not hit that for 20 points. That seems expensive. But still, 110 points for the Fusilier. It's okay. It's okay. The Stratoraptor next is 70 points base. So that'll become 74 for the stubbers. Twin Cognos las cannon is 40 points. And a phosphor blaster. Free. So that's 114 points. I think I'd rather take the gunship in every instance. And then you've got the Transvector, which is 92 points, plus it'll have 8 points. Yeah, so that's 100 points for the transport, 110 for the bomber, and 114 for the gunship. So yeah, all reasonably decent. We've got some new Warlord traits as well. Now, these are pretty cool, and I enjoyed Divinations of the Magos. So what you do is you can pick one of these 4 as your Warlord traits, and then at the start of your turn you pick one of the 3 auras that you can have to benefit essentially that Magos or that Warlord. There's 12 different ones here. I'm not going to go through them all, but Divinations of the Magos, right? There's 3 here. Now, 2 of them I wouldn't use very often. However, Overloaded Safeguards. When resolving an attack made with a ranged weapon by a friendly Forge World model within 6 of this Warlord, an unmodified hit roll of a 6 scores an additional hit. Dakabots. That's all I'll say. Like, that's phenomenal. That really is phenomenal. You can reroll charge rolls, and you can roll 2 dice when advancing. It's not bad. But if you're going Gunline Admech, Overloaded Safeguards, absolutely all the way. It's fantastic. There's one to Overwatch on 5s, which is predicted movements from analysis of the Logos. There's a couple of really cool ones there. They're all very fluffy, and depending on how you build your army, would depend on which one you're going to pick. For me, as a Mars player, running Gunline, overloaded safeguards every time. Now, if you do run Mars, there is something very, very cool, which I'm going to skip forward to. Forge World Canticles. Now, each of the 7 original Forge Worlds has their own canticle now, and what you do is you replace one of the 6 with your own. Now, as Mars, you get to roll 2 dice, and if Callers in your army, you can adjust that up or down by 1, which gives you a very good chance of getting the one that you want. However, if you're me, you'll never get it. So the Mars one, which I know was previewed on the community page, models in the affected unit do not suffer the penalty for moving and firing heavy weapons. That's fantastic. However, increase the strength characteristic of heavy weapons in the affected unit are equipped with by 1. That's phenomenal. So that's, if you're running any auto cannons, that suddenly becomes strength 8 auto cannons. If you're running plasma on your destroyers, they become strength 9 when you overcharge. Your neutron lasers strength 11, not that that makes that much difference, but like, that's phenomenal. Your phosphor blasters on your Dakabots become strength 7, which is very good in case you were targeting like light armored vehicles and things. Fantastic. The other ones, Riser, armor penetration characteristic of melee weapons in the affected unit is improved by 1. That's not bad. Lucius, improve the invulnerable save of models in the affected unit by 1 to a maximum of 4+. That's pretty good. Metallica, when resolving an attack against an affected unit by an enemy model within 9, subtract 1 from the hit rolls. That's good. When resolving Overwatch, 5 or 6 hits for Graia. Agrippina, when an infantry or cavalry model in the affected unit is destroyed, roll a d6, not a 5+. The model can either shoot with one of its ranged weapons or make a single attack. That's okay. Styges, affected units can shoot in a turn in which they fell back, but if a unit does so when resolving an attack made with a ranged weapon, subtract 1 from the hit rolls. That's good. That's very good. We do have stratagems, and we've got custom forge worlds. The custom forge worlds work a little bit differently, but let's take a look at the stratagems. There is stratagems for all the new stuff, and there's a couple of stratagems to help try and buff Admech in general. So this one for the Serberys Sulphurhounds, 1 CP, you auto advance 6 inches rather than rolling the dice. This one for the Pteraxii Stalkers, use it in your shooting phase, select an enemy unit that's not Titanic, and at the end of the phase when resolving an attack made by a model in the Pteraxii Skystalker unit, if a hit is scored, the target is suppressed until the start of your next turn. When resolving an attack made with the suppressed unit, subtract 1 from hit rolls. If you've got a lot of, you know, if you're going up against like a giant squad of fire warriors or something like that, that's pretty good. Or even marines with bolt carbines and stuff. Deeply Sunk Talons, use this stratagem in your opponent's movement phase. When an enemy infantry unit within 1 inch of any Pteraxii Sterylizor unit from your army is chosen to fall back, roll a dice, and on a 2+, the enemy unit can't fall back. That's pretty good. I think that's awesome. The Strataraptor, until the end of the phase when resolving an attack made by that model against a unit that cannot fly, add 1 to the hit rolls. That basically counteracts the fact that you're suffering the penalty to moving and firing. It's okay. Serberys Raiders, use this in your opponent's charge phase when the Raiders is chosen as the target of a charge for the first time. In that turn, instead of firing Overwatch, that unit can move or fall back as if it was your movement phase. That's brilliant. That is so good. So then you just accidentally move 12 inches away. And then you've got Seismic Bomb. Use this after moving an Archaeopter Flyers. Select 1 enemy unit that the model moved over. The enemy unit is shaken in your opponent's next movement phase. If a unit that cannot fly and is not Titanic is shaken, half its movement characteristic and the result of any advance and charge rolls. That's pretty decent to slow down your opponent's fast moving units. We've got stereoscopic triangulation. Try saying that 3 times fast. Use this stratagem in your shooting phase when a Scorpius disintegrator model is chosen to shoot. Until the end of the phase, if a model shoots all of its weapons at the same target, then you can add 1 to the hit rolls. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. We've got evacuation sequence. Use this stratagem in any phase when a Scorpius Dune Rider is destroyed and you don't need to roll for the models to save the slain. That's okay. It's 0 CP. 0 CP. Electrostatic overcharge. I can't even say it, but the Electro Priest that can shoot until the end of the phase, electrostatic gauntlet models have an AP of -2. That's decent, but nobody uses them, unfortunately. And I was really surprised that there's no stratagem for the other priests in here. Pattern iteration identified, using on an Iron Strider Ballistari unit in the shooting phase. And as long as the target is not a Titanic model, you can add 1 to the wound rolls. That's very handy because then that becomes strength 9 las cannons are probably wounded most stuff on 3s. That becomes 2s. Or auto cannons are going to be vastly improved as well. I can't even pronounce that. Serberys Assassins. Select a Sakaran Rust Stalker unit from your army, wholly within 9 of any battlefield edge. Remove that unit from the battlefield, and at the end of the movement phase, you can set that unit anywhere on the battlefield that is more than 9 inches away from enemy and wholly within 9 of a battlefield edge. So you can transport them around. It helps. It doesn't fix Rust Stalkers. Perpetual Incense. You get the -1 to hit roll on your Sidonian Dragoons in combat. Machanicus Locum lets you pick a Warlord trait for somebody that's not your Warlord. And Electro-Filament Countermeasures. Use this stratagem at the end of a movement phase. Select an Archaeopter unit equipped with a command uplink from your army. Until the start of your next turn, enemy model aura abilities have no effect whilst within 6 inches. That is phenomenal. You fly next to Gilliman, boom, shut down. Fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. Like, wow. That is so good. And when you consider like how many marine armies rely on rerolls or auras of rerolls, that's just phenomenal. So if, hypothetical, right? Azrael Castle with the banner in there, so it doesn't have a full bin run. They can't reroll all failed hits, and they can't shoot when they die because the banner's not working. Wow. 1 CP. Forgewell Dogmas though. So what you do with this is there is a number of primary disciplines and then a number of secondary. For each primary has 3 or 4 secondaries that you can then choose from. You can't take a secondary from a different one. So there's 3 different ones here altogether that you can choose from, or 3 primaries rather, and you can only choose the secondaries within that. So primary Radiant Disciples. When resolving an attack made with a ranged weapon against an infantry unit with this dogma that is not within 12, subtract 1 from the strength. That's pretty cool. So then you can pick one of the 4 secondaries that go with that. Rad Saturation, subtract 1 from strength and toughness characteristics of enemy models whilst they're within 3 of any models with this ability. You've got Scarifying Weaponry. Radiant weapons models are with this dogma are equipped with have an AP of -1. Omnissiah's Shield. When resolving an attack made with a melee weapon against an infantry unit with this dogma, reduce the armor penetration characteristic of that weapon by 1. On Machine God's Chosen, half the number of models that flee rounding up. None of them really stand out as great, in my opinion, but they're not bad. If you want to run your army a particular way, these are probably helpful to a degree. Expansionist Forge World, Accelerated Actuators. At the end of the charge phase, if a unit with this dogma made a charge move, was charged or performed a heroic intervention, improve the AP of melee weapons in the unit by 1. The secondary forward operations. At the start of the first battle round before the first turn begins, Rangers can move up to 6. This unit must end more than 9 inches away of both players and you roll off. Acquisitive Reach adds 6 inch to range of rapid fire weapons. That's cool. Rugged Explorators. Models with this dogma do not suffer the penalty for advancing and firing assault weapons. That's pretty good. Or Broad Spectrum Data Tether. Add 1 to the leadership whilst they're within 9 of any models that have a Broad Spectrum Data Tether. It's okay. The Data Horde Forge World, when a vehicle model with this dogma would lose a wound, roll a d6, and on a 6 the wound is not lost. The secondaries, add 1 to the move characteristics of Breaches, Destroyers, and Dune Crawlers. Or when resolving an attack made with a Cognos range weapon by a model with this dogma against a unit that is within half range, you can reroll the hits. That's not bad. It gives you a bit of maneuverability, but then obviously you've got the reroll, so you're not, as a Mars player, I castle around call, but that's actually quite decent. At the start of your turn, if a vehicle model with this dogma has lost any wounds, it can regain 1 wound. And the Transnode Power Cores, when resolving an attack made with an arc weapon, an unmodified hit roll of a 5 or a 6 scores an additional hit. That's pretty decent. So that is all of the Admech stuff. Of course, there is a name generator in there as well. Some of the Warlord Traits are pretty cool. Some of the new units are pretty cool. And I think the Archaeopters are going to be decent. I think you'll probably see, at least 1, maybe 2 in quite a lot of lists, especially for that strat. But that's the Admech side of things, folks. I hope you've enjoyed that. Please check out the rest of the videos. I will be reviewing the rest of the book. And we'll see you again very soon.